Hey guys, you're listening to Just 3 Clicks, and this is episode 27. I'm sat here with David. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. I've actually just been to yoga, which is why I'm dressed like I've been to the gym. So I feel pretty relaxed. Maybe going to fall asleep, but we'll see.
Cool. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to switch up the format of the show, just based on kind of feedback, and also we're trying to develop this podcast to be a little bit more engaging for people. So what we're going to do is, the show is obviously called Just 3 Clicks. So we thought what a cool thing would be to give people 3 valuable insights on every single episode that you could take away and action right away in your business, in your entrepreneurial pursuits, or whatever it might be. So that's pretty much what we're going to be doing from here on out. Anything you want to add to that?
Not really. I think in the interest of keeping it to the point, adding value, just let you explain and agree.
All right, cool. So today we're going to be talking about, in this first kind of formatted show, we're going to be talking about 3 side hustles that you can start right now. I don't know where the word side hustle came from.
Probably Gary Vaynerchuk. It sounds like something he would say.
Probably. For anybody that doesn't know, I suppose, a side hustle is like, something you do on the side to generate cash whilst you have like a main hustle.
It's kind of like having an affair on your job, pretty much.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. So you're cheating on your job to make money, basically. So you're a prostitute.
The end.
No, so we're not going to show you how to be a prostitute. We're going to show you how to...
Is a side hustle not the prostitute?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing something on the side for money. On the sidewalk.
This has already gone, to a bad place. But yeah,
well,
okay.
That's what the show is anyway. So we've got our own 3 kind of ideas, which we'll throw out. We're going to try and keep this within a pretty short time frame, so we're going to get through them relatively quickly. But I think if we come up with any other ideas as we're talking, we'll drop them in. So the idea is that you should be able to get off this podcast and think, all right, cool, I'm going to go and do that thing now. So that's hopefully what we'll be able to achieve with this. So, all right, we've talked about what a side hustle is. An interesting kind of fact, actually, before we get into it. So 72 billion pounds of income has been generated by side hustles in the UK, which makes up 3.6% of GDP. That's pretty interesting, I think. It just shows how much money there actually is in doing this.
And not everybody will have one. So,
yeah,
it probably is quite a big amount considering.
Yeah. So we got 20% of people's income is generated from a side hustle. That's pretty interesting. 68% of working British people have some kind of secondary income. And the refinery, so website calls this the side hustle nation. So it might be something that you guys want to check out. £4,932 on average for how much British people add to their annual income with a side hustle. So not a massive amount, but still probably pretty good for someone that's not earning anything right now. 78% of British people aged between 25 and 34 have some kind of side hustle. Interesting age group, actually. Millennials, is it? Pretty much.
Yeah. Probably always want more.
Yeah. Are we millennial?
Yeah, we're kind of like I think we're like older ones.
Older millennials.
Yeah.
The aged ones. I don't like being called a label, to be honest.
Me neither. I think if you describe, we're going off topic again, but if you describe a millennial, what do society think a millennial is? It's like, just Google it.
Millennial.
Like, millennial traits.
What is a millennial?
It's going to give you like...
Millennial. I use the Brave browser, so it's not biased. Lol. Millennials, also known as Generation Y or Gen Y, are the demographic cohort following Generation X and preceding Generation Z. Researchers and popular media use the early 1980s as starting birth years and the mid-1990s to early 2000s as ending birth years, with 1981 to 1996 being a widely accepted defining range for the generation. All right, so I'm pretty much flat in the middle of that.
Yeah, pretty much.
88 for me.
87.
Yeah. So basically the summary is side hustles do generate quite a bit of cash if you put some time and energy into it. So, all right, so let's move on to what these potential side hustles are. So, first one we'll talk about is trading in the 21st century with passion investments is kind of what we have here. So what that means is things like collectible cards, comic books, vintage games. Yeah, like if you're a gamer, Super Mario. If you go on eBay right now and you go and check out what Super Mario Brothers on the NES sells for, you'll be astonished at how much it actually costs. People on this might remember Donkey Kong Country. A sealed Donkey Kong Country on Nintendo will set you back about £11,000. So we're talking about $16,000. So that's probably the first interesting step you could take, is go in your attic and see what you've got.
Yeah, I think it's like I pulled out a Sega Mega Drive the other day, a Nintendo. I've got a bunch of games, but they're not sealed. But I almost bought GoldenEye yesterday.
Good game
for the N64. But I think in terms of, I think we can probably both talk about this because we're both kind of doing it. I'm doing it for two reasons. One, to make a return, but also the end game for me is like I've actually made a side hustle for my son. He's only 2 at the minute, but a lot of stuff I'm buying I'm going to give to him, so when he's 18 he can utilize it to, I don't know, just have some money.
Yeah. It's a good idea. It's obviously not an instant. It depends how you do it, I guess. There are instant ways to make cash with it.
I'll give you an example, right? So I've bought 3 stickers. Yeah, Ronaldinho is like a soccer player, football player. The 3 stickers have cost me about £8,000 for just 3, in fact 4 stickers. If I get them graded, I think a 6 or 7, they'll go for like 15 grand each.
Yeah.
So grading it is sending it off to PSA, Beckett's, a grading company. They verify, a grade for your card based on centering, based on corners, based on markings on the face or the back of the card. So if you get a 10, you get a really good grade. If you get like a authentic, that means it's like not good. It's just an authentic card. So I guess if you're gonna side hustle, the best way to do this would be to find popular cards that are selling on eBay. Then find the raw card, or the raw sticker, which is ungraded, in good condition, get it graded, and then sell it. So you can do that right now, or you could hold on to it and hope it goes up in value. So that would be kind of the best way to do it. It'd be get good at spotting good quality stickers and cards and sourcing them, and then grading from there. And that's kind of what I'm doing at the minute.
Yeah. And it's obviously dependent on what you're interested in as well, because like I don't watch soccer, but I don't watch Pokemon either, but I know what Pokemon is. Used to watch it when I was a kid, played all the games. In fact, I played the last game last year, so I know that world, I guess. And so what I do is I collect Pokemon cards. So I'll buy old cards, I'll buy new cards. I mix it up quite a bit. I buy very specific types of cards as well. So I'll buy Pikachu cards that are known as cosplay cards. So it's specifically a Pikachu card where Pikachu's dressed up as something. So you could be dressed as like a butler or a football player or something like that. Those cards tend to go for quite a lot of money. So good technique there is just, it's like anything else, right? Like, so it's like buying low, selling high. It's the same principle.
Narrowing down as well, like if you go, I think you can probably agree, when we both started doing this, we went quite wide. And we bought everything. The problem is you've got to absorb a lot of knowledge to be able to do that. The best thing to do is narrow in on like a particular card or a subset or a particular character. So you might become an expert in Pikachu or an expert in Charizard, or you might choose Cristiano Ronaldo or an NBA player or Messi. and you basically just become an expert in every card they've got, every sticker, where the value is, what's rare, what's not, what to buy, how much for. So like I now know I've bought 3 Ronaldinho stickers. I've got connections in Brazil, connections in Spain. And I can just keep sourcing these things over and over again, and I know what price I'm going to pay. And then as I sell them, I'll know how much I can make from them, and I'll know what is going to grade in certain ways. And then you become pretty good at just picking things up and saying,
Yeah.
right, okay, well, I can buy this for £3,000 or whatever, and then it's going to sell for 15 in 2 months.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, yeah, that's a way to get an immediate return. But then whether you want to take that money out and spend it on your life, or whether you want to put it back in to grow an investment, it depends on whether it's
Yeah.
an investment or a side
It's like
hustle.
a slow burner side hustle.
Yeah.
I mean, to put into context, like if you do this for the long term, some interesting numbers. So 10,000% is by how much some first edition Pokemon cards have appreciated in value since they first emerged. 10,000%. So that's pretty interesting. $2 million is how much Logan Paul spent buying Pokemon cards. Some of the individual cards that he's bought are worth hundreds of thousands of pounds each, or £100,000 dollars. $1.56 million is how much a Super Mario 64 vintage video game sold for. That's pretty crazy for a 64 game, because that's on the N64. So it's actually newer than some of the ones I mentioned before. So I might have had those numbers wrong, to be honest, before. Probably worth a lot more. $442,800 is how much the most expensive football card sold for. That was Erling Haaland. So, some of these numbers are pretty crazy. So if you're looking at it...
he isn't even like a legend of the game. He's a 21-year-old player right now.
All right, okay.
So he's not even like, it's not like a Michael Jordan in basketball. This is literally a player who people are gambling on being one of the greats.
Right. Well, there you go. That's a really interesting way to look at it. Like, you don't need to be an expert at a particular thing. You just got to understand what the valuable assets are within that kind of niche. So that's it. That's the first one, is pick up a couple of old vintage collectibles and see what you can do with that. Some other interesting resources on that you might want to look at is NBATopShot.com. Really cool NFT-based collectible item. Won't go into what that is, but it's worth checking that out. SoRare.com is pretty much the football equivalent, the soccer equivalent of the NBA NFT collectible, which David and Jamie have had quite a bit of experience with. I tried it for a bit, but I just don't get football, so it's not my thing. And then Panini, which is what you get all your cards from Panini, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Panini and Topps.
Yeah.
I tend to buy from. If you're buying new stickers, new boxes, like hobby boxes, you get base cards and parallels, and then you get autos as well, like autograph cards. And you'll get an autograph card that's like 1 of 100, 1 of 50, 1 of 25, or like 1 of 10, 5, and then 1 of 1. Your 1 of 1's the most expensive. It's only 1 of them.
Yeah.
So it's really, if you get into it, just a word of warning, it's pretty addictive. It's quite an addictive thing to do, because you're chasing down, rare cards, and you do kind of, in some respects, bank some money in your head before you put it in your bank. But just start kind of slow and build your way in.
It's also about remembering the difference between gambling and investing as well.
Yeah.
If you're buying packs, you're pretty much gambling.
If you're buying packs to open,
if
that's
you're
gambling.
Open them, it's
or
a
you
gamble.
could buy packs. We could probably do 30 minutes on this. If you're buying packs to store sealed, I mean, look at the first edition base packs of Pokemon. Like, the boxes are going for a
lot of money. Yeah,
$8,000.
Yeah. Some of the older booster packs for Pokemon are quite expensive now. So those are worth collecting. If you buy packs, don't open them. If you buy any kind of box that's sealed, just don't open it, because it will be worth a lot more money later on. So, okay, well, let's move on to the second one. So that's the first one. The principle of it is simple. It's just buying low, selling high, and you would do that on eBay, on many different platforms, Etsy, Depop. There's so many of them. But what you would do here is to specifically focus on old collectibles. So the second one. Second kind of side hustle you could look at is selling your skills and knowledge, even the ones that you didn't realize you had. So with this one, like what you would look at is there's a couple of different platforms that we would kind of that was my phone. There's a couple of different platforms that we would kind of like mention here. There's Upwork and Fiverr, which are two platforms for basically selling different types of services and skills, basically, right?
Yeah. I think, I mean, a really good example of this will be what quite a few people do with our product. Um, so quite a few people use our product as a side hustle. They sell animations to businesses.
Yeah.
On Fiverr, on Upwork, door to door, face to face. Yeah.
Yeah. It used to happen in the early days of videos where essentially with videos, what you do is you can obviously animate your logo, you can create these short kind of animated assets, but we make it really simple so you don't have to have any technical skills to do it. So what people were doing in the early days was they'd get the animations, they'd put them on Fiverr and say, oh, I'll go make a logo animation for you and charge you like $30, $100 for this animation, but you can get our product for $67 and you get access to like 200 templates. So what they were doing was really capitalizing on how many assets they get in our app and then just reselling it on Fiverr, which is a really interesting way to just generate a bit of cash. A lot of people have done that. Some of our customers have done it at quite a big level as well, where they're making thousands a month, aren't they? And for that, they're selling on different platforms like Upwork and using their own website and stuff. But there's a quick difference between Upwork and Fiverr as well, because they're not both. One's more professional, isn't it, than like a Fiverr?
On Fiverr, you would do quick things like animations, like article writing. Upwork is more like hiring somebody. You can hire someone for a small job, but you see a lot more of kind of hiring someone for bigger tasks like developers, designers, animators. But you're hiring a person to do that job maybe over a period of time. So for something quick, I would go to Fiverr. For something, kind of if I'm hiring somebody, go to Upwork. But then, as an example, you could just do some research for somebody. I've hired people to do, research for me, research different companies, find contact details. Like anybody can, it's just admin work, and anybody can do that.
Yeah.
You could do some user testing. It's pretty much so many things you can do without having skills, or you could teach yourself Photoshop, start using your skills there.
There's also selling your own knowledge. Like if you go on Upwork, you've got more ability to sell yourself as a bit of a expert / consultant, or a strategist, whatever you want to call it. So if you knew a little bit about SEO, you could, get hired by a company to do a couple of sessions on SEO, on copy, or I don't know, sales. It could be anything. So you can really utilize skills that you probably don't even realize. Like there's always someone that needs knowledge that you probably have. It doesn't always have to be like a really high level bit of knowledge.
Well, the other day we had a mixologist, like a bartender in the office. Now I know who it is because he's my brother-in-law, so I know obviously his story and what he does. He trained in Barcelona, a professional school. It cost a couple of grand to do what he does, and he's worked all around kind of the UK. He's now an electrician doing his apprenticeship. So, but he can make cocktails. So he came into the office to make mocktails or like non-alcoholic cocktails for the staff. That's a side hustle, isn't it? It's pretty much using your skills and knowledge to make money on the side. So, it can be done in many different ways, and it's not just selling it online. It could be, washing people's cars. I did that as a 13-year-old, walking around the streets, knocking on people's doors. It's just your knowledge, your skills, your time, and applying it to something different.
Yeah, there's like websites like TaskRabbit. I don't know if they have that in America, but TaskRabbit is like a place where you can sign up and you just get paid to do like essentially like handiwork. So lifting boxes, like delivering something or whatever else. Like I'm moving house in a week, and I'm just looking at paying someone a couple of £100, a couple $100, whatever, to just pack up all my stuff, and then I'm going to move it myself. So it doesn't always have to be very luxurious and elegant. This isn't about trying to build a business, but it all starts from doing little things like this because, I say it's just somebody packing boxes, but how do we know that that person packing boxes doesn't go and end up hiring 10 other people that can help him or her pack boxes, and then it turns into a business?
Yeah, or they develop a specific box for moving houses. Like,
Yeah.
so
Could turn into anything.
yeah, well, I started a business at 21, but it was a side hustle, and I wanted to make more money. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to build a business. I wanted to make more money to supplement the terrible wage I was getting in my job. And I just started a bit. In hindsight, I started a business, but at the time, I just wanted to make more money. And then, 13 years later, we're kind of here. So it can put you on a journey that you don't expect. Because what can happen is your side hustle can eclipse what you make in your job. And when that happens, you've got a decision to make. Are you going to carry on with your job and kind of maintain your side hustle, or are you going to take a gamble or a calculated risk and actually, flip those two around and actually have your sort of side hustle as your main source of income, and maybe let your job go. That can happen. It happened to me. I think it probably happened to you potentially.
Yeah, like I mean, when I was in full-time employment, I was making videos for people's birthday parties. I'd done some free work as well. I done charity events where I was taking pictures, done all kinds of stuff. And then eventually I pivoted into actually teaching about video instead. And that's what pretty much kickstarted my business online and pretty much like developed all the way into where we are today. So you just don't know where it can go sometimes. Pretty crazy, really. So yeah, so that's number 2 is either selling your services on Upwork or on your own website, or go on Fiverr and just sell random stuff. On Fiverr, people do stuff people do very random stuff for money.
I remember back in the day, you could get someone to pin up your website on like a college notice board. So you could pay like someone $5 and they'd put your advert on like their college notice board, and then you could do that with like 100 people. So for $500, you could be on like 100 colleges notice boards in the US, maybe. Really random stuff like that. But it's kind of like guerrilla marketing, isn't it? That kind of thing.
Yeah. So, okay, that's Fiverr, Upwork, selling your knowledge. So the last kind of side hustle we've got here is setting up an online marketplace or an online store. Now, this one's probably a little bit more involved. Like, it's not going to be like an instant overnight success story, but it might be worth you speaking about what your sister's doing, because that's probably quite in line with this.
Yeah. So my sister set up a business called Yumi and Earth, and it's basically like an eco-friendly product business. So we're talking reusable bamboo cotton pads, straws made out of grass that are biodegradable, and then she's just got some like bamboo cotton buds. So that all came from her passion for basically being eco-friendly. She has got her own story about how she got there. And I think sometimes like we can all talk about, the world should be more green, but doing something about it is what kind of makes a difference. So she decided to start a business. I've helped her do it. And it's something that, we're talking slow burning, because it comes down to, this is more of a business than a side hustle. Like, she's done markets, like spends her weekends going and doing markets, but things like that can build up over time. And, let's say you get to a stage where you're making, say, £500 to £1,000 a month. That for me is where you could actually turn that into a business. It does get a bit more involved. You've got to do your accounts. You've got to file your tax returns. So I think initially it can be a side hustle, but I do think that with that, it can very quickly turn into a business if it passes like a threshold. It's definitely after a year, because that's when all the admin things come in. We're going through it now. She's got to do tax returns. all her accounts are due to be filed, and she's asking me like, what do I do? And I'm just like, oh, well, here's your lesson.
Yeah.
You have to figure it out yourself, and I'll help if you need me to. But I think you just got to be careful with this one that, you know, there is going to be, but if you set up a limited company or a in the US like a corporation, you're going to have other. It's not just like you're getting paid cash and either declaring on your tax return or not. This is like, you know, more of a business, I would say.
Yeah. You can also start a little bit more lightweight, couldn't you? Because you could just sell on like eBay.
Yeah,
You could
yeah.
sell on Amazon. Like if you didn't want to set up a store right away, you could try and like do it a slightly more.
Yeah, yeah. I sold skipping ropes, like speed ropes in the past. Just done so many things. Did you try like Amazon?
Yeah, I think sold like running belts once, and then well, I think I was looking at
Do you know
I was
the
looking at these honey things. It was like it's like food wrapping.
yeah,
but
the
it's like
the beeswax.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, your sister should probably look at that if she's doing the whole.
I've told her to. Yeah, I've said to.
Yeah, that's quite a cool product that I'd probably use that.
What else? There's do you know the tripods that you can bend around things like you could
Gorilla pods.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I got them. I've still got about 100 in my garage at home.
Really?
Never sold you. In fact, my garage is full of things that I've tried to do, but then
We
kind
should
of
give some away to people listening on the thing.
yeah, we can
on the
do.
podcast. Yeah, so that's pretty much that one really. You just got to find ideas on what you can sell, and there's loads of different ways you can research ideas.
Yeah, there's one pretty cool one that I've seen pop up quite a bit during the pandemic is like food related businesses. So there's one in Preston. It's like called Charcuterie something, and they do like do you know when you get like cured meats like salami,
Yeah.
ham, and then like cheeses? They do these like pizza boxes filled with like all this stuff, and then you can order that. They deliver it with like breads and stuff.
Right.
So that's like quite a simple. All you're doing realistically is buying the produce. You don't have to cook it because it's already it's served cold, and you're putting it together and making it look good. So you're not like you don't need to be a chef. You just need to be someone who can, you know, make it look good, and you can then take 10 pounds of produce and turn it into 25, 30 pounds of revenue. So things like that are pretty interesting. And then that's definitely one that I think's popped up and has been pretty successful during the pandemic.
I think looking at like eBay, Amazon, see what's popular, see what's like kind of happening right now.
Yeah, there is software tools to use as well, like that do this. I can't remember the names, so
Jungle Scout.
yeah, that's one.
That's the only one I know. I know there's other ones, but Jungle Scout's the one that I've used in the past to do like kind of research on up and coming products and interesting products. There's a couple of ecom ones as well, actually, which I'll get Mindy to maybe look at this after, because there is a really good ecom one you can use, which finds these really interesting alternative style products that are coming out. I've seen some very weird products. Like there's one that it's like a lady's bag. If you know anything about kind of like when a girl goes out, like she'll have all of the makeup and stuff in a bag, and what normally happens is they'll tip the bag out to get all the stuff out, right? So then putting it all back in the bag is quite annoying because you got to pick it all up and whatever. So what this product was like, it was like a roll bag. So you can basically just open it, all your makeup and all the brushes and everything are out on the bag. And when you want to close it, it just folds up. So you don't have to tip it all out and stuff. Again, it sounds so simple, but it's the little things like that just solve problems that are really effective, quite interesting products that people would buy. But yeah, that's option 3 is just go and start selling something online on an online marketplace. And again, just start small. Doesn't have to be massive. Nothing ever is massive like right away.
I read something the other day. It was a girl who started I think she got made redundant, and then she started like it was a greeting card business, and I think she sold 80,000 products in like 12 months. crazy, like
that's
absolutely
cool.
crazy. People can start a business in it, or an e-com store, e-commerce business, and it can just take off. Like
Yeah,
it doesn't always happen, but it can do.
yeah, definitely. Okay, well, that's three things. So to summarize, you can buy low, sell high with collectible items, things like Pokemon cards, football cards, comic books, video games, or whatever else you can think of. Uh, Option two is selling your skills and knowledge on things like Fiverr or Upwork, or anything else that you can think of, like that you might want to do for a small bit of cash here or there. And remember not to underestimate how effective that can be to actually start a business, because it can. And then three is going and selling an actual physical product online using a marketplace like eBay, Amazon, or taking it a step further, setting up your own marketplace on something like Shopify or building a website up. So that's it. Those are your three options. That's pretty much it for this episode. I hope the format kind of is more effective, or it'd be good to get people's feedback on what you think about this. Leave it in the comments and that kind of thing. And if it works, then we'll kind of continue to do this. You'll notice that the episode's slightly shorter as well, because we want to make sure we're not taking up too much people's time. So yeah, that's pretty much the episode. Have you got anything you want to add to that?
No, I think we probably spoke a bit too much about the first one, but that's because we're both doing it. But yeah, I think overall, those three things are things that we've both done. I think, we've probably given as much detail as we can do without this dragging on for an hour or two.
Cool. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.